G'day guys and gal. There is more to Warhammer 40k than just war, although you'd easily be forgiven for thinking that. There is love, joy, comedy, sex, and yes, copious amounts of eating. I mean, well, there has to be, right? There's a shitload of mouths to feed. But that does beg the question, what does each race eat in the grim darkness of 40k? Even humanity, who we should be pretty well acquainted with diet-wise, is eating stuff that we wouldn't be able to fathom in our wildest dreams. Are the Elder all vegan? Are the Orcs basically just eating their own excrement? Is there anything the Tyranids won't eat? Do the Necrons even need to eat? Who knew this topic would be so layered and interesting? Before we get started, I owe you guys and gals an apology. A few weeks ago, I launched my 400k Majorkill merch, and a lot of you were wondering why I wasn't wearing the merch while promoting it. I mean, yeah, that's just shit marketing. Well, I was told it was due to arrive later that week, and I honestly got so excited with hitting 400k that I just jumped the gun, promoting it before I actually had the samples, and then I was hoping to just wear the samples in the next plug a few days later. However, the supply shit the bed, and not only did my own sample merch only just arrive, but they have only also just started sending out the orders now. My bad guys, I will make sure this never happens again. On a positive note, that does mean the merch is here and ready to go. First up, we have the classic black tee for warmer weather, or with the hoodie for when your nips get pointy in the cold. Backing that up, we have the burgundy. Honestly, burgundy close slap hard. It's something about that musky red that just gets the juices flowing. Each hoodie is unique, and then they have what hoodie number they are on the sleeve, with all the hoodies and t-shirts coming with a custom message on the back that will only be able to be read if you buy that piece of merch. Trust me guys and gals, you don't want to die knowing what it says. There is only about 200 of each color left, so a very, very limited drop. Cheers to 400k subs. Let's see how much further we can go. Today we'll ask the question, what food does each faction generally eat? I'm not going to be analyzing their entire diet, more so just well-known favorites that each race will aim to nom on. Let's get into it. Humanity might mostly look and sound the same 40,000 years in the future, but their favorite foods do not. Nuclear holocaust wiped out pretty much all animals on Earth, including, yes, chicken and beef. Fortunately, the galaxy is a big place, and there are alternatives to everything. Instead of eating cattle, mankind now enjoys eating these large demonic reptilian monsters called groxes. Now, despite looking like the worst possible livestock in the entire galaxy, the opposite is true. They can live in any climate, can digest almost any food, and their meat is extremely delicious and nutritious, as well as the fact that you can eat any part of a grox. Unfortunately, they aren't herd animals, so in order to keep them together in large packs without causing mass destruction, most of the adult groxes are lobotomized, whilst the breeding groxes are subdued with complicated electric headwear that zaps their brain and keeps them chill. It's pretty fucked up, but honestly not that different to what we do in real life. Since grox burgers are a thing, these beasts are the most sought after food in the Imperium. Although none of our animals survived into the 42nd millennium to grace our dinner plates, a lot of the veggies did. Most common is wheat, after all, how do you make a grox burger without the buns, and corn, due to how hardy corn is. Some variant of coffee is also around, called recaf, but that's more just a general term for all teas and coffees that contain caffeine. For alcohol, there is a lot of choice, but the most popular is Amasec, especially if you're an Inquisitor. It's a lot like space brandy. Now this does all sound quite nice and dandy. I'd eat a fucking grox burger, and you know I would test my liver's capacity on some Amasec, but for most people these aren't even available to them, instead having to rely on nutrient paste or the infamous corpse starch. Yes, it kind of is what it sounds like. Processed human flesh that is recycled and fed back to the populations. Now, corpse starch isn't just dead human bodies, it's pretty much any edible biomatter that is around that gets processed together, kind of like McDonald's chicken nuggets. However, as dead human bodies are always in supply, that often makes up the main ingredient. Now this does sound pretty fucked up and unnecessarily grimdark, but it actually makes a lot of sense. After all, in hive cities, where thousands of people die every day, there is no room for graves, and it seems like a genuine waste of energy and biomass to just mass cremate everyone. You also can't leave the corpses lying around, otherwise you'd get the mother of all plagues on the daily. So recycling is honestly the most logical choice. Corpse starch would also be quite high in protein and fat. You know things are bad when cannibalism becomes the sensible choice. For space marines, their digestive system is way less of a bitch than ours, so they can eat almost anything and get fuel out of it. Most chapters stick with nutrient paste or bars for ease of consumption and to maintain peak condition, but when they're on a mission they'll eat whatever is available. Combat rations, local wildlife, the corpses of their enemies, these fuckers can even eat rocks and shit. Mechanicus adepts often remove and replace their mouths, digestive system, and pretty much everything else, so they don't need to waste time or effort on something so trivial as eating, preferring to just plug themselves into a life support system or have one built in until the tiny parts of humanity that remain within them are nourished. A custodian is perfect in every way. Their body consumes energy extremely efficiently, and they can go days or even weeks of hard labor and fighting without food or sleep. In saying that though, they still need to eat at some point, and since they mostly live in the Imperial Palace, you can bet your ass they eat like kings. But what about the other races and factions? Well, banging out an easy one, the Necrons do not eat and cannot eat. One of the biggest reasons why they regret the biotransference is because they can no longer taste. Even the flayers who try stuff meat in their mouths will find themselves unsatisfied, as it will just get stuck between their teeth or flop out. The Eldar, on the other hand, are an interesting one. The craft welders are mostly vegetarian and enjoy a massive selection of incredible food. In saying that though, they aren't explicitly stated to be anti-meat, so I assume they would get some here and there. They are also sluts for good wine. The Dark Elder are much more carnivorous, with the lowest scum parts of their society being cannibals, whilst the upper end of the society are also cannibals, but like with herbs and spices. Rich Dark Elder will eat exotic creatures from across the galaxy, and drink wine that is incompatible with humans. If a human was to drink proper Dark Elder wine, they would have the shits for around 2 weeks. The Exodites are more primitive. They herd and harvest their livestock of dinosaurs, likely getting into their eggs or even nomming down on their own beasts, but considering GW treat the Exodites like they aren't even canon anymore, it's hard to know for sure. What about the Orcs? How do these colossal green mushroom boys maintain their obscene muscle mass? Well, it may come as no surprise that the Orcs are very efficient and self-reliant for their food. They enjoy roasted squig, which their spores help produce, as well as fungus beer, which their spores help produce. They aren't very picky though, they'll eat nearly anything, including your screaming family, or grots. If you think the Space Marines weren't picky eaters, then holy shit, Orcs take the cake. The Tau diet is as funny as it is expected. I shit you not, these guys are not only vegan, but also like to eat instant noodles. The Imperium isn't sure if the Tau's veganism is biological or cultural, however they do seem to have evolved from bovine who walk the plains of their tundra-like world. So honestly, I think they are vegan because they don't have a choice. Eating flesh would probably make them sick, and it does suit their memo, as well as reinforce how horrified with the galaxy and how out of place they are, slurping down their ramen while the Space Marines and Orcs literally fucking eat each other. I guess I should start including the Leagues of Votan in these lists, but I haven't read up on anything about their diet yet, so I assume it's as boring and efficient as food can be. Although Chaos is very much its own thing, it's still fundamentally made up of humans and demons. Demons don't need to eat, only doing so to unnerve or kill people, whilst Chaos followers would eat whatever they could, each other or just like a shitload of warped spaghetti. The Tyranids eat pretty much everything, so instead of listing every item in the galaxy, let's look at what they don't or can't eat. An obvious one is Necrons. Tyranids fucking hate Necrons. Their living metal bodies can't really be eaten, their tomb worlds are almost entirely devoid of biomass, their weapons atomize biomass, and they don't suffer morale issues. Tyranid bullets also do jack shit against them, so on the rare occasion when the Tyranids overrun the Necrons and eat them, they're really getting nothing out of it, and I doubt they would even try to digest them. Going further though, something the Tyranids definitely cannot eat is the forces of Nurgle, or anything Nurgle related. Tyranids have wildly powerful digestive and immune systems, but that means sweet fuck all against the god of disease. During a battle between the Tyranids and the forces of Nurgle over the control of a world, Nurgle did what he does and made the world super gross and AIDSy. The Tyranids slurped that shit up anyways, which resulted in one of their ships rapidly decaying and dying, causing the Nids to learn a valuable lesson and nope the fuck out of there. In a similar vein, scientists of the Farsight Enclaves were able to develop a supervirus that they then injected into themselves as the Nids ate them. This supervirus burned through an entire Tyranid hive fleet and killed all of them. It's just a shame that in the madness of it all, the recipe for the virus was seemingly lost. The Tyranids also can't eat Custodes, or at least have never been able to, as the Custodes fuck them up. For proof, each time the Tyranids consume a new sentient race, they develop a new warrior form using that race's DNA. They have never produced anything from Custode DNA, as they are yet to eat one, not for lack of trying. If there's one thing we've learned today, it's that being a Craftworld Elder remains the best possible choice if you were to be dumped into the setting of 40k. You know they have people who dedicate their 1,000-year-long lives purely to cooking? That food would fucking slap. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the 400k merch. It's my favorite drop we've done to date, guys and gal, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more edible content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.